Hi everyone, and welcome to our home for the next 2 weeks. I'm Lauren, and we're going to give you a tour of the Commencement.
I'm Kenny, and this is a vessel we're using to study the anthropology and culture of the area of the Puget Sound. And if you want to find out more, you can check out the more descriptive video in the comments, and there's a link for the video there. And we're going to start the tour below decks in the crew quarters through the forecastle. Welcome to the crew's quarters of the Commencement, where Anthony, the captain, Mark Wiest, who's an instructor, and Mike Vlahovic, who runs the Coastal Heritage Program out of Gig Harbor. We have where they're staying, and this is Mike's cabin, bunk. It's double wide, and you'll have Mark and Anthony's, who are just single wide here, and they're connected to the engine room, which we'll get to later. They have their sink, the crew's head and shower. You just seawater and flushes into a holding tank, and the shower uses fresh water, which is on board, and you'll see it later. Walking through the crew bunks, coming into the engine room, we have the diesel main here. It's a 12-cylinder diesel, supplied by two 450-gallon tanks on either side, which is also the tanks also feed into the generator back here, which provides power for the boat. You'll have the oil back here for the engine, and the coolant up here. And on the generator, you'll have it's cooled by salt water, so there is a filter on the bottom to keep out any particulates that you don't want in the going through the engine. And we hold the oil for both the main engine and the generator back here in these barrels. And speaking of oil, we have two Zerk heads back here, which we oil with these that provide oil for the drive shaft as it goes under the boat where we can't reach it. And there's an air compressor for the horn, and the exhaust from the engine goes out these wrap stacks, and the stack goes out the top through the galley, which is up this ladder. Coming through the ladder leading to the engine room, we have the galley here where we make all our meals. The storage is limited, so we use just a couple pots and pans for cooking. We'll be able to cook outside on the auxiliary stoves. And the one in here is from the 1950s, and it's run off the diesel. The controls are actually kind of cool because we have the on-off is a valve here. The amount of flow is controlled by this nozzle here, and to keep it from over smoking, we have a air vent with adjustable flow, and the smoke exits through here out of a smokestack, and the exhaust comes through this pipe right here. So connected to the galley, we have the salon, where there's basically a small mess hall for the crew and us passengers, where we do most of our work. As you can see by the laptops, there's a chart. There's a outlet down there under Valentina's bench, and we have Riley here.
Hi guys.
Playing the guitar.
Being studious.
He's our entertainment more than anything on this boat. And through the salon, you get the lower deck wheelhouse.
Alright guys, I'm going to take you into the wheelhouse now. A quick mention, this is a radio. We usually have it on, and every once in a while you'll hear someone come through. Very important channel is channel 16. In case there's any emergencies, we can call the Coast Guard and they'll answer any questions or come to our rescue. But we've yet to do that, so let's keep our fingers crossed. And here we have radar, which we don't use a ton, but it's cool just to have. And here, this is our depth finder. And we usually measure it in fathoms, which is 6 feet. And then you have just regular feet, but we kind of stick with fathoms. And here we've got, you know, the steering wheel and a GPS, as well as the transmission, but we really only stick to steering upstairs. And we just try and be careful if we're ever walking through here so we don't mess up who is ever at the helm. And back here we've got the general alarm in case anything goes wrong, as well as the start and stop for the engine, and the gauge for the RPMs. Here we have the generator startup. Alright, now I'm going to take you out around the deck. For starts, this is the quarter cleat. It's very important. We use it for the spring line, which we use during docking and when we're taking off, as well as this is a chock, which is another key part of it, and it adds as an extra lever for the rope whenever we're taking off. Now I'm going to take you up to the bow, and this is our anchor. It's a big anchor, and we've got the brake, which we usually have 2 people working this portion of the anchor. So someone's on the brake, as well as this controls the direction. So if it's like this, if it's down, the anchor can go down, but if you flip it up, it allows for the anchor to pull back up. This is also called the dog, which we take off and put back on whenever we're doing the anchor work. That way it's safe for everybody and nobody gets hurt. And then we have a third person usually feeding the line to make sure it lines up nice and pretty like it is here. And then this is the bow cleat. It's really, really big. And these are the eyes where we feed the line through, and we tie down the bow. This is the bow of the boat. Terminology, it's important. And now we're gonna go down the port side of the boat. This is air intake for the cruise quarters because they're right next to the engine, so it gets super warm down there. And this is a quarter cleat in action. We docked earlier today, and this is a spring line which we connect to about the middle of the boat. That way, when we're taking off, Anthony can, you know, throw it in gear, and that swings out the stern, and who's ever on dock can detach and hop on, and it's a lot easier to take off from tight spaces like this when we've got a spring line on. So we're gonna keep down towards the aft half of the boat. Alright, and here we have our freezer that keeps just about everything we use for our meals, and here is our dinner bell, or rather our meal bell that we ring to call everyone for food. And this is a hydroslave, which is a hydraulic winch that is used to bring up crab pots whenever people are crabbing. And here we have our punts, which we use to get on shore whenever we're anchored offshore. That way, you know, we don't have to swim every time. And back here, we're coming to Mark's lovely hammock that is actually tied off on our manual winch, which we use to take the punts off and put them in the water.
Here we have the lazarette, which is a great bit of storage we have in the back where we hold our cans and other non-perishable items. And there's a good bit of space down here still. We don't have any fishing lines because we're not fishing anymore. So, and here's more of a interior view of the lazarette. We have cans on this side and more liquids and other non-perishables on this side. You can see we have ropes in the back corner over here and a hose, and you're looking between the steering gear down here, which is connects all the way back to the wheelhouse, and on the other side of you you have water tanks. All 4 of them add up to 750 gallons of fresh water. This is the porthole that covers it up. Fits in dashboard here, close it all up. And make sure it's tight so it doesn't fall out if we hit any rough seas. Back here, you can see the aft head for us passengers. It's kind of the same design and function of the crew head up there. And through this door, we have the passengers' quarters. We have 3 on each side and a cubby hole underneath each bunk for storage of clothing. We have a table here. We can gather around. We've played cards down here a couple times, and it's just kind of a good place to get out of the heat of the day and do some work if you want some peace and quiet. Coming up back this way, we have the aft companionway leading to the deck.
This is the aft deck. It's the stern of the boat, and we usually sit out here and hold our class as well as eat most of our meals out here. And now we're on the starboard portion of the boat, and as we're walking down you can see we've got our life jackets in case of any emergencies. And if there ever were to be an emergency, Anthony would tell us to get our life vests on. And when we were going over the boat, he told us it's very important, if I say put on your life vest, put it on, but don't jump in the water. Because we might need them on, but not necessarily be in a situation where we all need to go overboard. And here we have the grill where most of the cooking is done outside. And this is a manual bilge pump. So there's a stick we grab and you can manually pump the bilge. Alright, now I'm going to take you guys up to the flying bridge and show you where the majority of the steering is done. Alright, now up here is where the magic happens. It's most of the same details that I showed you downstairs, but we like to come up here because it gives a better view of the water. And anyways, to go over again, this is the transmission, this is the throttle, we've got a nice captain's chair in the wheel, as well as another bigger GPS. And from here, this is the horn. Pull on it whenever you're leaving dock, and it says farewell to everyone still in port. Alright, and here is the radar. And over here we've got the stacks for this, brings everything out from the stove, and this is the exhaust from the engine. And now I'm going to take you guys up to the crow's nest, which is my favorite part of the boat.
Now it's going to come down to they're responsible to help get the fishing gear ready. And even
And up here we have the crow's nest. Couple features is this is the main mast, as well as the horn is right below us, so it's nice and loud up here. And then we also have the flag up, which lets everybody know who we're representing. It's always nice to come up here and check out the view, especially because Puget Sound's so beautiful, and it's always nice to kind of come up and take in the scenery. Thank you for joining us, and check in for future updates.